So maybe I'll figure it out eventually.
My problem is, I wonder how accurate it is, or more so, how accurate all the games have been up to this point, or to each other. Because Hogwarts is almost designed to be a mess, right?
Yeah.
But there is an actual layout to it. Like, you can go to the Hogwarts castle, you could take a tour and stuff. They just do a lot of camera tricks to make it look like even more of a mess than it actually is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, like, the older video games are even remotely accurate, because I kind of have a map of Hogwarts in my head based on, like, the PS1 Sorcerer's Stone game. I could probably still navigate just from memory if I went back and played the game.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is it's not, what's the word? It's not, God, why am I losing words? It's not the same. It's just random. It's just like completely random. I'm trying to think of the word that I'm thinking of. You know, and it's not the same on both sides. Like there isn't like symmetrical. Yeah, that's the word. It's not. It's asymmetrical. Like to get up, you'd think there'd be like a staircase, and like to get up to the next level, you could go left or right, and they'd both lead to the same place.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
no, it's completely asymmetrical. Just like random layout.
Yeah, for my memory, it's always been asymmetrical.
Yeah. Apparently, players are modding Hogwarts Legacy to make their characters paler. That's what I wanted to do. I want to make my kid the whitest kid you know.
Name
well.
Trevor Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the game is doing incredibly well. In fact, it's already, I think from just pre-orders before the game had come out, like, technically the year's just started, but comparing it to last year, it would have been the best-selling game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
it'll be interesting to see if it wins, game of the year, the game of the video game awards.
Well, I'm trying to think what else is coming out.
Although
it's got some tough competition. Tears of the Kingdom is coming out.
Tears of the Kingdom, yeah.
But Tears of the Kingdom might be hurting it. It costs $70.
Maybe. I mean, the deluxe edition of this cost $80, I think. Regular, I guess, was $60. So.
Yeah. Hey, Mike.
Hey there.
Well, I think that's also probably one of the things that's been keeping people out, right? Like, that $20 difference can make a huge difference to the average gamer's budget. So a lot of them are just waiting for the standard edition of the game, since the deluxe came out, like, a week earlier or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does give you some other stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Gives you a hippogriff and a bunch of other things.
But
I guess I knew that
they just can't put that in their budget,
mounts.
even for the extra stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what people expected. I saw that there was a big hubbub about the Tears of the Kingdom price, but it's like, I mean, do you know what the interest rate or what the inflation rate has been the last 2 years?
I think that's actually been the big problem because of the it's not technically the definition of hyperinflation, but metaphorically the hyperinflation that we've been seeing within the last few years. Typically, the video game industry has been able to compensate by using recent returns to pay for the next game. So they can our games have been doing good last year. We can put that money into the new games. Everything is slowly doing better, so we can constantly increase the budget of the games. The audience is increasing too, so we can afford to still sell them at the same rate. And then obviously DLC and other things to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the inflation happens too fast, it's like you don't have the proper returns from the previous year to even put into the next games.
Yeah. I know. I mean, we had inflation of 10%. It's still high.
It is
still going up. I mean, and you know, when they say inflation's going down, it's the rate of increase is going down. It's not prices aren't going down. Prices are just increasing at a slightly slower rate than they were 6 months ago.
And you think that's bad for us? Most of our expenses are kind of subsidized by the fact that we're the world currency. So try being in like literally any other country dealing with that inflation too. Japan's probably better than most though. They've hit almost zero inflation prior to the pandemic. I don't know how much it actually affected them, but they had
we were at zero.
Yeah, they had hit a stabilization point for quite some time. I don't know where they are now, but everyone's hurting.
You know, if people are really upset by $70 price tag on video games, then they should think more carefully about who they vote for next time.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
I think this is actually probably good for the gaming industry though, as a whole. Because I think one of the big problems with the AAA industry is that they've been able to afford to just sit at the $60 price tag. And everything's been getting more expensive anyway. It's just like obviously they're getting more and more buyers, so they don't have to raise it. And that just means because things haven't gone up in price, people have been more frivolous with their game purchases, and they've been buying a lot of crap that they should not have bought anyway. If games go up in price, it means people are going to be choosier about which games they pick, which means they're also going to be choosier about reviews. They're only going to start even remotely listening to people that give them good results. Like, oh, I bought this game and I liked it. This guy is obviously giving me a good review. And I think that just will have a knock-on effect that is good for the industry as a whole.
I mean, at least they priced Metroid Prime remastered at 40, was it? Or 30? 40 or 30?
I think it was 40.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people expecting it to be 60.
I was.
And they did not.
Nintendo, I think they're going to try to be more flexible with their prices in general based on what's been coming out from their PR. Because it used to be, but it used to be based on system, not how old the game was, right?
Yeah.
So it used to be like, if you're buying a DS game, most DS games were between $35 to $40. When we get to the 3DS, they were between $40 to $45, as opposed to like the console games of the same price were always just about between $50 to $60. So I think we're going to see more of like things that don't take them as long to make, like certain remasters. I think for Retro handling the Metroid remaster, it was similar to how the Wind Waker one was done, where it was mostly just them changing the shader model and updating some of the textures, so it didn't take very long. Obviously, they added some control changes, but they did that with Wind Waker 2. There was like the quick menuing and stuff from the bottom screen. So that doesn't take as long. You can afford to charge less for that. But then something like Tears of the Kingdom, which is the biggest base game that Nintendo has made on the Switch so far. Like, I think Smash Brothers gets bigger than it after all the DLC, because Smash Brothers is like 20 gigs now. But as a base game, it is 18.5 gigs. Before any DLC or anything, making it the largest Switch game. Largest first-party Switch game. Obviously, there's all kinds of people who don't know what they're doing when it comes to game compression.
Hogwarts Legacy was 70 gigs.
And sadly, that's not that bad compared to like a lot of other games I can think of.
That was rough. But I see Nintendo actually responded to Game Informer, who asked for comment, and they said they determined the suggested retail price of Nintendo products on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
So it's not an indication that future games are necessarily going to be $70. So,
there's also to say that some of them might be. I think what they're probably looking at right now is how much effort went into the game and how much they need to try to make back from it. Because the entire game industry, it's basically borrowing from the future, if you think, because technically you're using all the revenue from previous cycles to pay for new stuff in hopes that the new stuff will bring you back even more money so you can keep putting into it. So you can look at it in a reverse way, though, where because you're trying to make money out of this game, you're kind of borrowing from the future in some sense and hoping that it pays back in interest. And I think now that they're looking, it's like, well, we need this much interest paid back on this game, so it's going to have to be $70 instead.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, what are you going to do? It says Xbox and Ubisoft announced that all of their AAA games would cost $70
and so
a year ago.
Looks like it's starting to move into that path too.
Yeah. But I mean, you know.
Yeah.
It's inflation. It's just, there's nothing you can do.
I think the fact that it's not all of their games and they're doing case by case just shows how much better Nintendo is doing than their competitors.
Yeah.
Because realistically, it should all just be jumping up, probably to 80. If I'm going to be honest, if we were looking at the trajectory of the industry, games probably should have been $80 maybe almost a decade ago, and the growth of people playing video games has just been so steady that they could afford not to and still dump even more money into games, right? So the demand and has been able to allow them to keep it. But like with the increase in cost of games, if the like player base has not been steadily increasing, we would have had to have seen a spike in prices a long time ago.
And I mean, the fact that this took 6 years, I'm willing to bet that despite the fact they're theoretically using the same base engine, this probably cost Nintendo way more to make than Breath of the Wild. So,
especially because like probably the only people that were working on it for the whole like 6 years is just the dedicated Zelda studio. But when Nintendo makes a game, they have a bunch of different departments working on things, and a bunch of them work on a bunch of different things at the same time. So you've got people who were working on like Smash Brothers DLC, jumping in and out of there. People working on I don't know what other stuff, the Mario Kart DLC and things like that. They only had a smaller team of, I think the Zelda studio is about maybe 250, like 250 dedicated people, and then you've got several other people within 1,000 of different departments jumping back and forth.
Yep. Well, are we gonna do the intro?
Yes. Sorry, somebody who came in here asking for measuring tape. Welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Pretty good. My mom dropped off some cookies today.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, I'm supposed to be on a diet, but thank you. I still will eat these.
What kind of cookies?
I'll eat them nonetheless. They're like, they're chocolate, but they're like puffy. They're really light and soft. They're almost
I like chewy and soft cookies. I don't like really crunchy ones.
They're almost like macaroons kind of things. Like they're like round.
Macaroons aren't that bad. If you're talking about like dieting and stuff, like they're pretty low calorie compared to some of the other options.
Yeah, they're almost the consistency of really light brownies.
Yeah,
sort of. But I already ate some.
Yeah, I think probably actually one of the better ones are I think what's the German chocolate, I think is the sugarless one. But if you get like German chocolate cookies, like the no bake kinds, very very low sugar. Surprisingly, like the worst cookies you can eat, aside from, I don't know, maybe drizzling chocolate icing and sprinkles on something and turning into like a diabetes cookie. But like the standard ones, the worst ones you can eat is oatmeal and raisin. Those are so high in sugar and people don't even notice.
I like oatmeal cookies.
Oatmeal raisin's my favorite. Well, they're just like nothing but sugar.
Well,
but
what else is happening?
What else is happening? Well, there's a lot of things happening.
Lots of Hogwarts Legacy and lots of
everything.
Nintendo news.
Well, the Nintendo president came out and said that new Switch games are coming, even as the console enters "quote unquote" uncharted territory. because this will be the longest, I think, console run that Nintendo's ever done. I think the last longest one was it almost 8 years? It didn't hit 8. It was like 7 and something. It was nearly 8 years long, and that's where we're going to be heading into uncharted territories. If it passes that 8-year mark, then it'll be the longest system Nintendo's ran without going into another one.
Yeah. Well, we were just almost up to 6 at this point, so we're into the 7th year, just about.
Unless you count the DS, I think the original DS actually was being supported for 12 years, almost. It was 11 to 12 years, but
yeah, but
there was
the
also
3DS
some
was introduced. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also the Game Boy Advance was still slightly being supported into the DS's life cycle. They tend to do that with the handheld.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the same. Even the Game Boy was supported for like 2 years after the Game Boy Advance came out.
Yeah. And the Advance could play Game Boy games.
Yeah.
And the
DS could play
Advance. Yeah.
So there's like reason to support those longer because like, well, if the games still come out, you can play it on your new system.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I'm having a lot of fun playing Minish Cap again.
Oh, yeah.
On my Switch.
A lot of people are saying that this is the best of all the emulators is the Game Boy Advance one. And it's not even just because of the titles that started on it, because they didn't really start with that many titles. Great ones, but not that many. But functionally, it actually works the best out of any of the ones that they've added without having to...
Yeah, I saw that. I guess this thing, Sloop, is the emulator, and I saw it. I guess it got leaked a year ago or something like that. But yeah, it's like it passes all the tests. I was surprised that Virtual Boy Advance fails on so many tests, because I've used that with I've never had a problem with any Game Boy or Game Boy Advance.
I used to use that one, but I stopped a long time ago. Actually, what's the name of the one that I use now? It's probably in my downloads.
In fact, I was using a beta for the longest time. I didn't even realize it was a newer version.
That's the one that I use, is MGBA.
MGBA. I feel like I have that somewhere.
Yeah. That one works a lot better. That was the one I was using when I was doing all that Game Boy camera webcam stuff.
But does that play Game Boy games too, or just Advance?
Oh, yeah. It plays both Advance and Game Boy games. Again, I was using the Game Boy camera on it, which is a Game Boy game.
Oh, yeah. Huh, I'll have to check that out. Although Visual Boy seems to work. I don't know.
My sketchbook says, man, I wanted to say hi earlier, but my phone was sparking out like marsupial stream of Hogwarts. So what's up? What's the topic of today? Well, we actually were talking about Hogwarts Legacy for a little bit, and then some Nintendo stuff, and we're kind of just jumping back and forth at the moment.
Yeah, what isn't the topic today?
Yeah.
We've got a million topics.
Oh, dude, all the Hogwarts Legacy stuff is cracking me up. I have no interest in the game, but it looks polished. So for people who like the game type, should have a lot of fun. You look like you were having a lot of fun playing it. And it's also pissing off a lot of people I don't like. So, it's like a win-win situation.
Yeah. I don't even, I'd seen everything. I saw today somebody, I guess Hero Hay was highlighting someone on Twitter who said that it was being a fan of Harry Potter was similar to being in the U.S. military and killing people. And that I guess they were saying being in the military was a bad thing or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very weird statement. I mean, as long as you're killing the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, you're making it sound even better.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand their analogy there, but
well, there's some people who do have a very negative opinion of just war in general.
Yeah.
They don't think there is a such thing as a I don't know how to use the word just war, because I think that's a wrong way of looking at it, but a necessary war.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a lot of wars in history that were necessary. There's a lot that were probably unnecessary too, but that just comes with with the bulk of things.
Indeed. Well, now I'm going to have to try out MGBA. Apparently.
Yeah, I've been using that one for years. I think it's a pretty good emulator.
Will it play the Mother 3 fan made?
I've used a lot of what was that tool that you used to have to use to mount mods? Lunar IPS. I used to play a lot of Lunar IPS mods on MGBA. I even played the kind of Elden Ring demake on MGBA. It worked really fine. So,
well, it already. I just tried it on one thing and it crashed.
Oh, it did. Wow, I haven't had any crashes.
It's crashing on everything. Well, I'll have to try it after the stream. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Maybe. But the problem is most Game Boy Advance emulators technically aren't that good. It was surprising that the one that they used for the Switch passed all the tests. It's really hard to find one that checks every box.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of the handheld emulators. I think there are a couple Game Boy standalone emulators, right, like just for the original Game Boy that work very well. But then once you get into stuff that are built around the Game Boy Color, you already start to have problems with just how Nintendo was handling things. The DS has a lot of problems. I think it was only even within the last couple of years or so that Melon hit a version of it that actually checks almost all the boxes. They were missing some before that, and then almost every emulator before Melon didn't really check most of the boxes. Like Decime was the one that a lot of people used for a long time, and that, unless you're on Apple, was not even checking half the boxes. It had frame rate issues and audio sync issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Melon is a DS emulator, right?
Yeah, that's DS. That's what I was saying. Like, that DS is one that doesn't really hit all the boxes either. Probably one of the best handheld emulators is Citra for the 3DS. And even that one, obviously, that's a game-by-game basis. But it's got an internal game checker like a lot of the more complicated console emulators do. So you can kind of tell how well it's going to do. Project 64 and Dolphin both have checkers for compatibility, which makes them better emulators. I think, what's the Switch one? Fuzu or something like that? I'm trying to remember the name of it. But the Switch one has a checker too. That I think is actually made out of Citra. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that the operating system for the Switch is a modified 3DS operating system. It's like going from one version of Windows to another. Which is what pissed a lot of people off, because you're like, wait, if that was the case, then why don't we have fucking themes for our Switch? Turns out, if you dig into the files, the ability to support themes is in there. They just don't sell them or do them at all.
Yeah.
Fucking Nintendo.
Hey, Tim. Oh, well, I don't care about themes. I guess a lot of people do.
It was a big, I guess, controversy when the Switch first came out because you had basically two different supporters, right? You had people who had still been using Nintendo products, so that's going to be mostly 3DS players because the Wii U didn't do very well. But the 3DS did remarkably well. And then you had people who were waiting for the next Nintendo console because they didn't know that the Wii U was even a thing. And those people probably didn't care at all about the themes in the slightest.
Yeah.
A lot of the 3DS players are like, what is this blank screen and where are my themes? Because you kind of got spoiled. So many different options.
Yeah.
After a while, they give you a shuffler, so every single time you went to the home screen, a different theme could be on with the 10 that you had on shuffle.
On a 3DS?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You could have near the end of its lifespan. I wouldn't say end of its support. So like within the last 4 years of them supporting it, they added a shuffler where you could have up to 10 themes set. and every time you went back to the home menu, so like you started a game and closed it, or your thing went into full sleep and you opened it, it would shuffle which theme within those 10s was on the screen.
Interesting.
So I had all my Zelda themes set. Because I
think I only ever
had like 5 or 6 Zelda themes.
Yeah. I think I had Majora's Mask, and that was about it.
I was like really, really active in Club Nintendo, so I had a bunch of themes. That was a lot of the stuff they just gave you. Hey, Buck says, sup, bitches. Typically my go-to intro when I jump into a call. But yeah. I don't know. That was just, it pissed a lot of people off. Mildly. It wasn't going to stop them from playing the Switch. They're just like, where's my fucking themes? That's what they should do.
Right? Well, I wonder if they're going to
territory, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah. The question is how are they going to support DS games in the future? Because you don't have. I mean, you're gonna have to turn your Switch sideways, or
and you can only play it undocked.
Yeah, or are they going to do? The problem with side by side is that a lot of games like have a, the screen. They assume both screens are like connected to each other. Sometimes just like in the intro, but
or like Animal Crossing Wild World. Most of the top screen was the sky. And there was a lot of stuff in the sky, like packages or Gulliver and the spaceship and stuff. And yeah, it was like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff.
Buck says, "What up, bitches?" Or sup, bitches?
Get into some work on Strangers in Paradise, because turns out the DLCs are only playable on new difficulties higher than the highest base game difficulty. Good on them. I mean, sorry for you, because I know you usually like playing on the base difficulties. He was a... well, I remember at one point I got him up to at least playing on medium, because some games he wouldn't. He would just go straight to easy. But he's kind of like a medium for life. And that's perfectly fine, play games the way you enjoy them. But yeah, there are some things like that where they only let you play on the hardest or higher difficulties.
Oh, look at this. Did you know Tears of the Kingdom is included in their Switch vouchers program? So you can get it for
that was one of the things
$50, I guess.
Up. There was they were putting like a bundle together with a couple games. And I think they said, especially because Metroid Prime is already lower, if you bundle Zelda and Metroid Prime, they come out even. But then there's another game that if you get that's normally $60, and then you bundle it, you'll actually end up saving up to $30. The way the value is working.
Effectively, you get it for $40.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Ooh, I might have to do that because I want to get Metroid Prime anyway.
Yeah.
But wait, you said if you get Metroid Prime,
it almost
that kind of negates.
Even. Yeah, but then there's another game that if you get that's like full price or normal retail price, and if you get that, you end up saving like $30 total between the two games. Yeah. They were both pre-orders. I didn't bring that.
Pikmin 4 is on the list.
I think that was the other one they were talking about. If you get Pikmin 4 and Tears of the Kingdom, you end up saving like $30 between the two of them.
Nice. Well, the only downside to that is, what if I also want the collector's edition?
Yeah.
Damn it.
But if you want Metroid Prime, I hear that the pre-orders for that are already live.
Wait, Metroid Prime 4?
No, the Metroid Prime Remaster, if you wanted to play that.
That's available.
Oh, is it? I just saw that the pre-orders were live. I didn't realize it was already available. Oh, okay.
No, that came out on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. It must have been an older article I was reading.
Yeah, that was available as soon as the Direct came out. Oh, I did download Octopath Traveler 2 demo.
I didn't. I forgot to. I was too busy working.
Well, check it out. It's free. The demo is.
It is free.
And it'll carry over to the game if you buy it.
Yeah, you've... I don't know exactly how it works. But you get 3 hours. So I don't know what that means, like 3 hours per user, 3 hours per save file. Honestly, it should just be 3 hours per save file, because if you started a new file, and you can't get that far in Octopath Traveler in 3 hours. I played the first one doing all the bonus stuff, and it took me like 120 hours to do almost everything in the game. You can't get that far in 3 hours, so they should just give you 3 hours per starting a save file. But you know how these demos are sometimes, so who knows? We'll have to play it and find out.
I don't know why I even go on Kotaku. It's such trash.
The only time I ever go on Kotaku is because I specifically want to make fun of something on Kotaku.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the whole 40-inch waist thing for the Mario Kart article. That was the only reason I was even on there recently.
Let's
see.
Metroid Prime Remastered has changed Samus's face. Weird.
Well, hopefully for the better, not the worse.
I mean, you don't really see her face very much.
Yeah, you do. There's a single scene where you see it through the visor, and you see her face in the reflection of the visor a few times in the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was like a low poly model. I mean, GameCube, so it wasn't that bad, but still, it was like a low poly model back then. I would assume some changes have to be made.
Yeah.
It just depends, like... I don't think they're going to pull, like, a Resident Evil remake change to the face, where everybody hated the way that, like, Claire looked.
Yeah, she looks a little generic. Oh, well. I don't know if there's a defined look for Samus, really.
What else was the... Oh, Shovel Knight. So, there's a Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, Valentine's Extravaganza. Did you hear about that? Okay. So, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is like, I believe, a puzzle game. Right? Where you are going, you're doing, it's like Puzzle Fighter or whatever and stuff like that from Street Fighter. So you've got like the puzzle and you're solving it, and that's how he goes through the dungeon. And there is a Valentine Extravaganza going on where what was the specific thing? We will let you take a dig at your ex this Valentine's Day. If you've recently ended a long-term relationship and are looking for a unique way to get those awful feelings out of your system, take a note. A knight in shining armor, armed with a shining shovel, is here to help this Valentine's Day. So there was I don't know, you had to win it. It was a one-day event where you could win Pocket Dungeon on Steam. And the people who won, the names of their ex-lovers are submitted via an online form and added into the event of the game, and you can like pummel NPCs named after your ex if you take part in the event.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, I don't know, a bit much. I don't know, a little vain actually. I'm so important. Let me go beat up on my ex. There's a lot of, I think, psychological problems with somebody who would want to take part in that, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
It was always nice to hear Shovel Knight news, so.
Yeah, right. Well.
Oh, this was actually an important one. This is bad news, actually. Really, really bad news. And I hate to see it in the gaming industry. So, remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how Ubisoft is working on a new toxicity identification system and stuff in their game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently their new toxicity system has a fast-track contact to your local police force.
Okay.
It's currently only in place at a customer service center in the UK, so that's the first place that it's been rolled out in. But if you are experiencing like serial harassment and stuff like that through a video game, which I don't know how you define harassment through a video game. I honestly, I really don't, especially when you could just get somebody reported, have their account removed from the game or something like that. I don't know why the police ever need to be involved, but they can send reports directly to your local police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Only in the UK, since the US has
at the Newcastle
free speech
center. Yeah.
Since the United States has this thing called freedom, I hope presumably that won't be a thing here.
It says we have millions of players and tens of millions of interactions. So, how can we spot incidents? It is daunting, but at the same time, it is very important, which is why we wanted to sign a deal and try to make things right. We wanted to focus on the most extreme cases, make sure we do the right thing there, because it gives us a solid foundation to build on the rest of our work. And we're like, okay, but what on earth could somebody actually do in a video game or over a voice call in a optional game that you do not have to play? Neither of you have to play. This isn't like you're going to work and somebody is harassing you, or somebody is coming to your house and harassing you. It is a game you could turn off at any time. What could ever happen that needs to get the police involved?
The UK has these laws that basically say if you feel threatened or harassed, regardless of what the other person said or intended, it's your feeling that makes their actions illegal.
Oh, it's not just
crazy
UK.
Shit like that.
It's a lot of the EU, and even though they did their Brexit and broke off, a lot of the bureaucracies and stuff were in line and already set up prior to that. So in many ways, they still function like the EU does.
Yeah. I'd say in Europe in general.
Yeah.
It's like, my feelings make your words illegal. It's crazy. It's like, okay, so if you didn't feel that, like, how am I supposed to control what you feel? It's like ludicrous.
It's like going back to, you remember that video, like way back in the day with, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 4 online, because that was like the first one to actually have online interactions with people. Very limited. You were like joining an instance. It wasn't like when Grand Theft Auto 5 has a full online. But I think it was Grand Theft Auto 4. Because I think it was just past, what's it called? God, why am I blanking on the San Andreas? The one with CJ. I think it was just after San Andreas. But there was like this reporter talking to a lady. She's like a gaming specialist or whatever, and she was talking about getting raped inside the game and how it was so realistic, the virtual rape. And then even shows you like a clip of it, and it's like it doesn't even look like rape is occurring and stuff, and how she was traumatized from it. That's what this like is in my head. This is the picture of what's happening right there.
Yeah. And apparently you can call the cops on the person for being near you, like for having an avatar that's near your avatar in a game.
And of course the French are supporting this.
Crazy.
Of all people.
Of course.
The Buck on the last topic says he wants to see a Warhammer game where if you play as a dwarf, you can see the names to be added to the Book of Grudges in their journal. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Glacier Mountain Comics says, praise, Starfire. We don't do that here.
No.
No. This is a Cult of Raven zone. Hail Raven.
Might have to, ban you for that.
Yeah, we'll put on probation. That's a warning.
Yeah. It's a free speech zone, except that.
Yeah, yeah. No heresy. that is the one rule. No heresy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh wow, the IGN website has a poll on which house will you choose in Hogwarts Legacy. Guess which house got number 1?
Is it Gryffindor?
With nope. Slytherin. Gryffindor is 3rd.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Yeah, and your day is ruined.
Yeah.
Ravenclaw is 2nd, Gryffindor 3rd, and Hufflepuff a distant 4th.
Well, Hufflepuff is full of glue sniffers, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Crayon eaters, right?
Yep. Listen. Anyone who doesn't pick Gryffindor is a cuck, okay? Just straight up. That's the way it is. That's the Chad house.
Okay. God, I can't believe they didn't even get 2nd place on this list.
Know.
I guess Ravenclaw's the nerds, right?
Right, yeah, and that is the majority of the Harry Potter fan base, so...
Well, apparently
I'm actually
it's Slytherin.
surprised it didn't beat... Well, Slytherin also has a lot of nerds. It just has a lot of wicked nerds.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, there's Slytherin and then there's everyone else. It's kind of like,
Yeah, yeah. And everybody wants to be edgy. They're like, I want to be in Slytherin.
Yeah. It's Fox News compared to all the other news channels, right? There's only one choice, so, or there was for a while.
Fox News is still very much like the other news channels.
Right. Yeah, I know, but I mean, just as an example. It's evil.
Hey, the only Hogwarts wizard who was supposed to be in the Triwizard Tournament was a Hufflepuff.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Really? He was in a Hufflepuff?
Cedric Diggory was a Hufflepuff, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dario says, did you... What?
Charge your weed pens with your PS4 controller like the controller charge. No, because I don't have weed pens.
What are weed pens?
It's like the vapes that you use for
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I mean,
not even my
yeah, if it's a USB charger, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I could theoretically charge anything that needs a USB-C charge off of my PlayStation.
So here's my problem, right? The lore of Hogwarts, right? We go all the way back to the founders of the school, the 4 houses, right? First of all, I think the house thing is retarded in the first place. Just everything about it. Like, this is not the way to run a school. This is the way to make enemies of everyone in the school with each other.
Right?
Yeah. But still, the founders all have, what's the term? Alliteration, right? They all have names that have the same starting letter, like Godric, Gryffindor, and stuff. And like, I don't believe those are those actual people's names at all. It doesn't sound very likely. I think all of them got together.
What was Hufflepuff's first name?
I was like Helena Hufflepuff or something like that.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it's like, I think they all decided to change their names right there when they founded the school and just all came up with like catchy illiterate names. I don't think that was the names any of them were given at birth, even in the wizarding world. It's too convenient that 4 people with completely opposing personalities happen to have names that all work out like that, right? And I guess it's fiction. You can make whatever you want, but usually you want some things to be somewhat believable in fiction, right? And my headcanon is that they all just changed their names right there to make this like grand legacy of the school that they were founding.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not how Durmstrang and Bobatons work.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have different houses. They're all just together, right? It's as if, what we call Hogwarts, like wants to pit parts of its student body against each other.
Yeah, there's part of it that I get in some regard. The UK as a nation is formed of smaller nations, kind of similar to us, right? They're a kingdom of kingdoms. And the four houses in some way kind of reflect the kingdoms there. But people aren't sorted into their houses based on like what kingdom they were from or anything. It's supposed to kind of be like a metaphor. But also, it gave her excuse to have that kind of like interscholastic type of competition without having other schools. And Joanne is what we call a discovery writer. So she had no clue when she made the first book that she was going to do the Triwizard Tournament later on, that there would be other schools that they'd be competing with and stuff, when they could have just been competing against other schools from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a compounding problem of having no idea where you're going with your story.
You think Wales is Hufflepuff?
No.
Which one is Slytherin? Northern
Slytherin?
Ireland?
No, I think Northern Ireland is Hufflepuff. Those are the paste eaters right there.
Is Scotland Slytherin?
Scotland is definitely Slytherin. Wales is probably
Ravenclaw?
No, I think Britain itself is Ravenclaw. I was going to say Wales is Gryffindor, especially when you look at the pose that the lion is compared to the dragon on the Welsh flag.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you also look, the Welsh, while you do have the Scottish, you do have Northern Ireland, the Welsh is probably the most Gallic, the most Celtic of all of the kingdoms in the United Kingdom. And the fact that, like, the Weasleys are very, very, like, Celtic people, and all of them just naturally fall into Gryffindor every single time anyone. I think Gryffindor is supposed to be Wales.
Okay.
Yeah. That is
Alrighty.
my headcanon of the houses of Hogwarts. Like, that, it makes sense when you're only dealing in the first book, maybe even the second book, but by the time you get further and further, the further you go along, the more problems compound from wanting to do different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of the bad thing that like public schools often do is slot students into like remedial classes if they're a bit slow, you know, in the first, second, third grade, and then it's like, well, what if they're late bloomers? What if they catch up? They should be able
part
to
of it too is like specifically Quidditch, right? It wasn't even just the house cup like every single year, but it's also Quidditch. You have a sport and you want to have an excuse for them to play the sport against each other. But there's other ways you could have done that. You could have had like a varsity and a junior varsity team and different things like that. There's tons of ways that schools already do stuff like that without having to necessarily pit each other against each other. So my thing, he says discovery writing is okay. Glacier Mountain Comics. The bee's knees is mapping and plotting out a story, then discovery writing inside the boundaries. No, that's what most people do with somewhere along the spectrum. So when people call somebody like an architect or they call them a discovery writer, they're actually talking about when they sit on the extremes of either side. J.K. Rowling is almost purely a discovery writer. She doesn't do too much architecting at all before she goes into things, and she has said so as much in interviews. And there's some people who fine-tune too much of their story, and they overcook it, and there's all kinds of problems with it. But most writers in general fall somewhere in between, where they do a little bit of architecting, they do a little bit of discovery along the way, they leave some breathing room, and that's usually more of a healthy writing style where you don't end up stepping on your own feet too much. Not to say that she's a bad writer, I'm just saying like her process leads to a lot of issues. If you don't care about consistency or certain things making sense, there are endless amount of plot holes in Harry Potter. She's actually a really good writer that has made a very successful franchise, and it's not just successful because of random luck, though there is some form of luck when it comes to being discovered in the first place. It's successful because she actually did some type of brilliant work that people loved. but even brilliant things can have flaws in them, and that's one of the flaws in her series.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking forgot. I have a lot of things up here. I just have to figure out what I want to talk about next. Oh, here's a controversy that's actually more of a non-controversy. As somebody who's been kind of a hater towards this movie, even I have to defend it to some degree. Have you seen all of the stupidity around the Rainbow Road Super Mario Brothers movie poster?
No.
Okay, but have you seen the poster?
Probably, I think. Now, I saw, like, when they originally showed the Rainbow Road, I saw a couple of morons claiming that it was like the LGBT poster or the LGBT flag.
Back on that again too, but that's not really too much of it. So the new poster shows basically everybody going across a loop of the Rainbow Road, scattered off, and it's got Peach on her motorcycle really big in the foreground.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Not a.
But I mean,
issue.
wasn't that supposed to be?
Poster.
Wasn't it supposed to be highlighting Peach? Like, you know, they do posters that highlight different characters.
Yeah, like every movie does this
right.
where you'll have different character posters for a movie.
Right.
And the whole kind of controversy is that now a lot of people are trying to say that this poster is woke because it's highlighting Peach and trying to put her front and center in the movie above Mario. It's like, well, she might be to some degree, but this poster doesn't like make that
doesn't say that at all.
It's just a variant poster,
in fact,
which you do for every
I'm
movie.
looking at it. You know, that was actually I'll admit, it was actually my first thought when I first saw it. And then I looked at it closer and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even see Mario in here at all.
Yeah, I see like all the Donkey Kong people and
yeah. So then I was like, so I'm assuming Mario is actually ahead of her.
Yeah, probably
in this picture.
He wasn't
so
the front of the pack in the scene.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So I think so then I was immediately like, oh, this is just a poster just highlighting Peach, like you do. Like you might have a poster highlighting
Sonic
Toad.
Movie had a poster highlighting Eggman. Like it's just what you do in movies.
Or Tails. Or you might have a poster highlighting
the
Knuckles
Avengers
or something.
Movie had a poster for every single Avengers, even including one that was just Black Widow. Like, it's just what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I didn't realize that there was an actual controversy, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It was like it is a non-controversy, but people are. It was like the weird. I don't like woke stuff. I'm pretty philosophically anti-woke, but there is an anti-woke crowd that's just as bad as like the woke people when it comes to things where they're just like running around trying to like claim everything is woke even when it's not, and trying to start up controversies. And this actually looks like a good poster in general. Actually, I would say that is a good movie poster, even for somebody who is not excited about the movie.
In fact, there are, like, I'm seeing there are 6 posters out there. I don't know if they're real or not. I mean, I guess I don't know where this came from. But there is a set of 6 with like Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach, Donkey Kong, and Bowser.
Yeah. So
it's like, okay. Yeah, there's allowed to be a Peach poster.
I don't know. I don't want to have one. Especially if you're trying to sell a movie, whether it's for kids or adults or anything. People like women. I like women. I find them attractive.
She is a main character.
A good selling point is if you have a woman who is a main character, at some point you should have some type of poster selling them. You know, like, I don't know why you wouldn't want that. But you want just Mario on every single poster. That's going to be the only thing with his flattened ass just on every single poster.
Yeah. I don't know. I understand people are, Dario says, I like peaches. I understand people are very cautious.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Mario better be the fucking hero. Better be the hero of this fucking movie.
I don't even think the problem is going to be woke, but I'm already still cautious about this movie. Like, from the trailers I've seen, it doesn't seem appealing to me. But, like, again, as somebody who has very little appeal to this movie already, I have to call out how stupid this shit is with the posters. Like, this is a fine fucking movie poster. People need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah, no, I agree. The poster's fine, but Mario better be the fucking hero.
Yeah, for sure.
He better be. Or I'm going to be so fucking pissed.
Mario and his twin brother Luigi should be front and center of the movie.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, I can understand it because it's like, you know, I mean, that Doctor Strange 2 movie, he wasn't the hero of that movie. I mean, he was the secondary character in his own fucking movie. Well, I would
say that he was still kind of the hero in a way, but he was still a hero in a secondary role, right? The MacGuffin was more of a main character than the actual hero was.
Yeah. And the Loki show, I mean, it's called Loki, but nope, he's a secondary character. What I would
like to see from a new trailer, right, whatever the next trailer they put out is I would like to see more about Luigi, because what would be probably a better redeeming thing that could happen for this movie, give me more interest, is if we find out that the screen time is more so split between Mario and Luigi, so we keep seeing things that are happening over in like Bowser's Keep and stuff, because this is Mario Brothers movie. It would be cool to see two different things happening back and forth between the brothers.
It seems like there will be. It seems like Luigi's there in a completely different area, and mostly, of course, they put him in the spooky area because Luigi's Mansion. Yeah. Of course. But it's silly to make definitive silly to make definitive decisions or statements about it. We don't
really know
based on a single poster.
Movie, honestly, like, we saw a trailer. A lot of it was enough to make me very apprehensive of the movie, but aside from that, we actually really don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
That and there's the cat suit. Like, I know we talked about that 2 times ago. I don't know about that. That's another thing, going back to like what my initial complaint was with the movie, is that it is a meta Mario movie, right? Because if you were telling a good Mario story, why would the cat suit just show up in the first Mario movie? Something that doesn't come in until like almost 2 decades into Mario's like run for the first time, right? Like,
well, I guess. I mean, it's kind of like
it's always
we're gonna
there, but
I mean, they're incorporating things from beginning to end. I mean,
they're just that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a Mario movie that is less about the journey of Mario and more about a movie about Mario that exists in a world where Mario's been around for the last like 40 years.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, but with Mario games, there's no real timeline. There's no.
Oh no, there is definitely a timeline. But you don't have to be
really.
You don't have to be too picky about it. Like, I'm not even being too picky about it. I'm just saying, like, there is kind of somewhat a flow of what has happened. Like, there's a certain point where the Koopalings come in. There's a certain point where certain things happen, and you don't have to be super particular.
Mm-hmm.
But even Nintendo has said that Mario's aged since his first game. Not by much, but he has aged since his first game. Nintendo recognizes a loose Mario timeline.
Well,
yeah,
but it's funny because in one of the trailers, they had like the shop of what do you call it? Ancient artifacts, and it had like the old music box and the old pixely stuff, from the older games. So it's retconning. It's just saying, okay, we're throwing Mario into the world of today's Mario. Or at least like the Wii U era Mario game.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's a Mario story in the same way that Disney's Hercules is a Hercules story is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to tell a good Mario story, you would kind of want to limit yourself to at least things that happened within like the first or second console, right? Because you're trying to tell a startup, an origin story for Mario. If you're telling like actual Hercules story, you kind of want to start near the beginning of Hercules' journey and kind of almost tell it straight through, instead of telling like a meta story that involves a lot of Hercules stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is that stuff is 35 years old.
I know.
And it's like, you want to appeal to people who played Mario presumably in the last 10 to 15 years. So
yeah, I know.
They're going to be wondering, where's the cat suit? Where's the acorn? Where's the this? Where's the that? You know? Gives it more interesting options as far as different abilities, different things that could happen, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, they want to go with a meta story for those reasons, right?
Yeah.
Instead of looking at the fact that, well, Mario's been in our world for the last 40 years and have built up all this stuff. He hasn't been in the Mushroom Kingdom for the last 40 years in your world that you're building. He only just showed up there, right?
Yeah.
And you could have some of this stuff around. Even the catsuit's not the biggest complaint. It's just like everything else about it, like the whole Mario Kart Rainbow Road thing just being thrown in there. And it's like, well, you want to appeal to people who play Mario Kart, especially because Mario Kart is like the best-selling game ever for Nintendo right now, the most recent one. It's the best-selling game on the Switch, and it's outsold like most of their other games they've ever made. But like, does it really make sense for a Mario Origin movie to just have Mario Kart and Rainbow Road in there? From like a narrative standpoint.
Guess we'll have to see how they throw it in there. I mean, presumably, I don't know. How does Mario Kart fit into the lore at all? It's not part of the main series. It's a spinoff. Are they going to have some aspect of, Smash Bros? Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah, that's actually another problem. I think we were talking about this when Detective Pikachu had become like really popular, and then Sonic, and they were talking about the directors wanting to work together for like a Smash Brothers universe or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I mean, that's fine if it's a disconnected thing, if like the characters can still have their own isolated stories and blah blah blah, but like you have to actually have a reason for like maybe them getting sucked out of their universes, or something like that. But it's like, you don't want Smash Brothers to be canon to any character story.
Don't take it so seriously. It's just a movie.
I always hate the words "it's just a movie." My dad would always say "it's just a movie" all the time, but he would also watch like the most retarded shit. And I don't even like slapstick, right? Where the entire point is the suspension of disbelief. Like that is the point to slapstick. But he would say this about like a movie that was taking itself seriously, but you weren't supposed to. As the audience member, like, but this is shit. Why are you telling me it's just a movie? It's shit. I could go watch a better movie.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like, I want a movie, like if it's a video game movie of a video game that has a story, I want it to abide by the existing lore. Mario just doesn't have that kind of lore, that kind of beginning, middle, end. I don't know. I mean, it's just each game is just
Mario has period
fun
lore, right? And this is how they even track the age of Mario, right? Because Mario is, I think he's like 26 now. He was 18 when he started, based on actual like Nintendo stuff. And Mario's age goes up in different periods. So they're like, there's the first Mario period, which kind of is like the NES era. You've got Mario 1 and 3, Doki Doki Panic's version of Mario gets put in there too for Mario 2. Like there's a period of Mario, then there's like the Super Nintendo period, and they track Mario's age based on periods, and they treat the lore kind of that way too. And they do treat him like he's a Herculean hero. So every story about Mario is true about Mario. Every version of Mario is Mario, whether it's in a sports game, whether it's in his main games or whatever, RPGs. But they still treat Mario like there are periods of his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one even throws that out of their loop, and it's almost like, well, it doesn't matter what era of Mario's life is happening. We could just put everything in here in a single period.
Yeah. But I mean, Mario is more of a pure gameplay kind of a game. It's, you know, you could throw out any of the lore and it's just like it's about gameplay. It's, you know, it's about mechanics and
that's the thing, right? Because that's
I got you. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So that's the difference between, and then why I hate these modern narrative games, as they call them, where they are trying to be like a movie, but you play through it. A lot of older games had stories. You just played the story. You didn't have to have like scenes tell you what was going on. And there is a canon to the first Mario game, because the canon is that you never die once in the game, right? Like you make it all the way through without Mario ever dying.
Yeah.
And there's only one way to beat everything. It's not like there are options in Mario. When you could skip some levels, but the whole thing is like the game ends when you defeat Bowser in the last level.
Yeah.
And that is something that happens for certain in the game. There is a story to those games.
But how is it that Bowser sometimes like gets dropped into lava and becomes a skeleton, and then you defeat the skeleton, and then all of a sudden he's back again? It's like, how does that happen?
Yeah, they've even tried to explain that later on in New Super Mario Brothers for the DS. There is a point too where you fight Dry Bowser, and then he comes back at the very end as Bowser. There's kind of this explanation that Bowser and Dry Bowser are actually two different people, and it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or magic, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's K-Magic.
Or just new Bowsers.
You know. Yeah. Magic is part of his lore. If you want to talk about technically, canonically, the first era of Mario, the first time period, would be the prequel of Yoshi's Island, right? Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, where you have the same Bowser as a baby. Because apparently Mario and Bowser are somehow roughly the same age. Bowser's supposed to be older by a little bit, but they're roughly the same age. I don't know if like Mario was an infant, Bowser was already close to 1 or whatever. But they encountered each other as children. Bowser has memory of it. Mario does not. And that's probably just because of the fact that, I don't know, Koopas are different than humans, so they have different memories. But magic has been put into Bowser's lore since he was a child, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I mean, that's one of the things they're putting in here, too. What K-Mech is in the movie. That stuff, no problem with. Especially because it's supposed to be prequel stuff. So you're like, well, that stuff has to be in any version, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you start. If it's something that took place in the past, you don't have to explain it right now, but it should exist at any point in time.
Oh, did you see in the most recent, like, official poster of all the characters, they have a Koopa Troopa with a blue shell.
Oh.
I believe a spiky blue shell.
Spiky.
So we may finally get the origin of the blue shell. Because we've never had a Koopa, apparently, a Koopa Troopa that had a blue shell.
No, we have not. I always just assumed that it was some type of weapons grade shell that was developed by like Bowser's Kingdom or something. Like it didn't actually come
not attached to an
anyone.
actual turtle.
Yeah, like they took a shell that used to be on a turtle and they just turned it into a blue shell. That was my assumption because there's literally no explanation. You could come up with any reason for that as a player. It's just something that only exists in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing to a blue shell you ever see is a spikeless blue shell.
Yeah, in like Super Mario World, was there a blue?
I vaguely remember there being. It was kind of purple.
Or maybe there was the spiny.
Well,
was there a spiny with a blue shell?
No, there is a purple-ish shell that might be blue because like colors on the SNES were odd. But then also in Paper Mario, there are Koopas with blue shells later on too, and that's the 64 era. So that was like the second era of Mario Kart.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a blue-shelled Koopa. It has spikes on the shell and wings.
Yeah.
He's a flying, or a paratroopa, I guess they call him.
Yes, it would be a paratroopa if it has wings.
On the poster, I mean, he must be a main character. Maybe
It's
even
spiny
has a name.
blue paratroopa.
Yeah,
That
crazy.
sounds like a bitch of an enemy to deal with.
Yeah, and the fact that he's on the main poster, I would assume that means he's kind of a main character. So
I
we'll
would hope so. Maybe Luigi befriends him. Maybe somebody that he meets in Bowser's castle.
Yeah.
Because that would be more of the redeeming thing. I would probably already like the movie more if, like, obviously we're going to see some stuff that happens to Luigi and Bowser, but it's about, like, how much screen time does Luigi actually get, you know?
Yeah.
If it's at least a third of the movie,
yeah,
then I'm probably fine with it.
I was going to say, if you go by the sizes of the characters on this poster, Mario's the biggest, then Peach, then Luigi. Interestingly.
Luigi should be more important than Peach. I'm just saying. Like, the name of the movie is the Super Mario Brothers.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
You got to put Peach in a refrigerator. Peaches in refrigerators. That's the name of the game.
We don't have to fridge Peach. If anything, she should be in an oven because Bowser's castle should be pretty hot. Basically a brick oven.
Yeah.
This is a castle filled with lava.
Well, anyway.
Here's a funny story. Ready? Good old boy Yoko Taro. Everybody remembers Yoko Taro of the Nier games, Drakengard. You know, he wears a big moon mask from one of his characters from Nier. He's making a game under Sega called 404 Game Reset, which basically Sega's paying him to take all of their franchises and turn them into anime girls. That's pretty much what the game is.
Okay.
And the actual core plot of the game, being a gacha game, obviously, like if you're gonna do an anime girl Sega game, obviously it's gonna be a mobile gacha game. Is putting Sega as an evil overlord at war with its own games. Sega is paying for this game to be made, by the way, where they are going to be an evil overlord who are fighting their anime mascot versions of their games.
Okay.
Some of the characters look pretty nice though. Like
is
this
like an adventure game?
No, I don't know if it's adventure. It's probably going to be an RPG from what I can guess, since it's going to be a mobile gacha game. There's actually a trailer for it. Probably shows.
But it's not like a fighting game.
See, it's in the RPG showcase, so yeah, it's probably going to be a mobile RPG. Yeah.
Sounds very meta. I don't get it.
Let's see, Virtual Fighter. I actually see some of the things. I could probably pull it up, but it'd be hard to guess like what some of these games are supposed to be without any what's it called? Any actual captions telling you what it is, aside from the Virtual Fighter.
Yeah. I see that. I see the trailer is all in Japanese.
Yeah, and the Virtual Fighter one's probably the easiest one because it's almost like a JoJo character, where the actual main character for Virtual Fighter is like a stand behind the anime girl. But like, just trying to guess what these other Sega games are, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, I'm gonna share this.
Yeah,
if I can. Don't quite understand. That's the moon guy that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Instantly recognize him. Outrun?
Let's see. Stream paused.
Stream paused.
Yeah, it says Marsupial has minimized their application. Sit tight. That's what it says on my screen.
What? Did I not share the right screen?
I don't know. Yeah, it just immediately does that.
That's weird.
I don't think it wants to capture the screen.
Okay, hold on. Let me switch to YouTube. See if it works with that. Change windows.
I mean, I'm not surprised that he's making a game like this either. Very much like a few other Japanese devs, when asked why he made his characters the way that he does, right? Like, he just straight up says it. He doesn't try to make excuses, like how in Metal Gear they tried to make an excuse that Silent needed to be basically naked so that she could breathe through her skin, right? He does. He's just like, no, I like girls and I wanted to be to have a perfect ass. You know, like he just straight up admits why he wants to do it. Much respect for the guy. So as a guy who really likes girls, it's not surprising that he's making a game that is just Sega anime girls. I think we might just be having Discord troubles today, and it doesn't want to see your stuff. That's probably it.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I can put the trailer in the chat anyway.
Yeah. You know when this started? I did an update like 2 weeks ago, and since then, when you and I do things, it's fine. But then, like, if somebody else jumps in after it, like Buck or Dillard or something, I will have problems. I have to leave and come back in. And
weird.
Even for the stream. I don't know why. It's only here in the vomitorium. I haven't had those problems anywhere else. And it might be because I'm streaming, right? So there might be, like, the streamer mode might cause some problems. I don't know. But it only started happening after that last update, so...
Weird.
Yeah. Discord, get on the ball. Don't make. I was liking you for a while. Don't make me jump to something. Backup stuff set up.
I know. We haven't had this kind of a problem in a long time. So, oh well. Well, that sounds like a weird game.
Yeah.
So
that's why it caught my attention. Every time Yoko Taro does something, he makes a weird game.
Afterburner, Virtua Fighter.
Oh, that's supposed to be Afterburner.
Virtua Cop.
Sense. Yeah.
And this is an iOS and Android mobile game.
Yes.
Interesting.
Which is funny.
And only in Japan?
Yeah. Well, for now, it looks to be a Japanese exclusive. A lot of times you'll get a game that's like 6 months in Japan and then it comes out everywhere else. And then the Japanese server will stay 6 months ahead of the global server. He did a puppet show recently that was supposed to, like, hold people over while he's working on stuff. It's like, it's supposed to, like, hey, explaining what we're doing. And people were expecting, like, a really big announcement because the puppet show was retelling the story of Nier Automata, right? And he did finally come up with an announcement, and it's this. I was like, that's not what anyone was expecting.
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah. They were hoping maybe it'd be like, hey, the anime's off hiatus, Nier Automata's coming back. No, it was a fucking mobile game. Oh, Yoko.
Cast has the power to alter the real space by brainwashing and using the cast. Sega rewrote the world to its advantage.
It sounds like something Sega would do.
Interesting.
Okay, probably the last thing we'll end up talking about. Remember back when the whole point of watching the Super Bowl, aside from like if you were actually invested in it and wanted to see who'd win, was basically watching the commercials? That was kind of like the reason most people did. Why is it that you can watch Super Bowl commercials weeks in advance now? Like,
are they released already?
Some of them here and there, they've released commercials. I know it's actually tomorrow, so it's not that bad. But like, even just a day or two early seems like it kind of defeats one of the major draws to
I mean,
viewership on football in an all-time decline.
And even releasing them after kind of defeats the purpose, because it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to watch Super Bowl at all. I can just wait till the next day and I can watch them then.
Yeah, you want at least like a week or two gap to make people want to watch it during the Super Bowl, so they don't feel like they're missing out on stuff.
It's like, you wonder why the viewership keeps declining year after year. It's like, well, what's the reason? Why would I watch? I don't care about the teens. And
from an ad perspective, it seems like a scam too, right? Because if viewership's going down and people are just going to watch your stuff elsewhere anyway, why pay like the $1 million for a 45-second ad spot or whatever? It's like, or actually, no, I think it's $1.5 million for 15 seconds. It's not even a 45 second.
I guess because you end up in these, on these websites that have lists of all the Super Bowl ads, right? So if you make an ad and you don't pay to be in the Super Bowl, you won't be on those websites also.
Yeah, I can see that.
You won't be in those groups. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of companies do seem to do these like alternate, like we're going to make a Super Bowl ad, but we're not going to pay to actually be in the Super Bowl. But we're going to release the ad online with the right SEO so that we show up.
Budget, right? Which most of the Super Bowl ad budget goes into the ad spot more than actually making the ad itself. If you took that same budget and put it into like YouTube or Google ads, you would get far more reach than actually putting it into the Super Bowl.
You would these days,
The Dungeons and Dragons ad has already been released, so you can watch that now. Yeah, and it has both Dungeons and Dragons in it, which are
that's good.
2 checks for actually having a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Though we already had those checks, I think, in the previous ones. Like we saw the labyrinth-like dungeon with the tilt and the dragon chasing them, and that right there had both in the same exact spot. That big fat red dragon. And it's like, I'm not afraid of a fat red dragon. I've played enough D&D. Now, if it was like a black dragon or like a blue dragon, then maybe I'd be afraid. But outrun that.
Yeah, really. You can, you can kind of dodge fire, or I don't know, cast some kind of cold spell on yourself or something. But how are you going to dodge lightning coming out of his mouth? I don't know.
Yeah, no, lightning, horrible.
Or
acid, also horrible.
Or green dragons, aren't green dragons typically like the most dangerous? Because it's like, poison gas.
Green dragons can be, right? So that
I guess if they're really old,
widest range of danger. Like they could be like the least dangerous. If you see like a baby green dragon, they could end up being the most dangerous. There's big backfire though, because a lot of people don't realize that poison gas is flammable.
Yeah.
Right. So if you throw a fireball at it as it's just like pulling it out, you can just blow the dragon up.
I just remember in Chronicles of Dragonlance, there was a green dragon that had taken over an entire civilization of elves and charmed them into a dream state, which I think they called the Emerald Dream, and had basically commandeered the entire forest that they lived in.
Yeah, white dragons have a large variance too. Like a baby white dragon, that's like a starter adventure. You could fight one of those. Apparently, that's what she figured. You could kill a baby white dragon as a start out adventure.
Yeah,
but an elder white dragon, you're probably fucked. Like this.
Elder anything dragon.
Yeah,
pretty much. Or a zombie dragon.
Oh God.
Or what? Isn't there? There's like a difference. There's like isn't there kind of like a lich dragon sort of thing? I guess maybe
there's
an undead.
Like a necrotic like bone dragon type thing. I forget the name of it, but yeah.
I just remember having trouble
with
Final
Fantasy ripped off, and I just throw Phoenix Downs at those motherfuckers.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I was watching, not to change the subject or anything, but I was watching a speed run of Dragon Quest III, and the final enemy, they screwed up the programming. The final enemy has that thing where you can cast heal spells on it, and it will hurt it. They screwed up the programming of the heal item, the herb or whatever, the healing herb, so that it does as much damage as the most powerful heal spell in the game. So you just have to get like 3 of those for all your characters, and you can kill the final boss in 3 rounds.
Yeah. Well, that's why like you're supposed to use Raise or a Phoenix Down, is because it's like, well, technically they're dead or undead, right? So if you just Raise, that's supposed to be all of their health restored.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't work in Dragon Quest 3, but
it doesn't always work against undead things in those games.
Yeah.
You actually, in some Dungeons and Dragons campaign, if you do come across an undead dragon, you can use Resurrection on it. There are some issues though.
Oh yeah.
Depending on the campaign, I think there's one where if you resurrect the dragon, it actually just becomes the dragon it was when it was still alive. So that,
can't imagine.
But also, like, even then, who would want to waste a diamond on killing a dragon in one shot with how hard they are to come by? Like, oh, that sounds awful.
You have to use a diamond to resurrect something?
Yeah. A classic resurrection spell required a diamond as one of the materials. And it was like, why would you want to do that? But I guess if you have it, you're like, fuck it, I'm just kill this thing in one shot.
Do a cure serious wounds or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Cure critical wounds.
Well, now they have destroy undead, but that only works against certain types of mobs. Like you can't, if something like qualifies as a boss, if it has like legendary feats, you can't use destroy undead against it, because that'd be kind of broke if you got like a level. I think that's like a level 2 feat, right? If you get like a level 2 feat and you're just like destroy undead against a boss, like, well, I mean, he had 2 destroy undeads this rest. He could just use it.
Yeah.
That's why you keep clerics on you.
I can imagine making an enemy immune to that, though.
Oh yeah, dude, my brother. I wasn't originally supposed to be in his first campaign, and I told him, it's like, if you're gonna run a campaign, you should do an out of the box one for your first one, so you can learn how to DM. But he just did a homebrew, and he kept telling me the whole time that he was going to be running a horror themed homebrew campaign, right? And I was giving him advice and stuff like that. And then he was short on people, so he asked if I would play in it. And I'm like, you stupid motherfucker, you told me what your campaign was about. I just rolled a cleric, and I fucking stomped through his entire campaign.
Smart.
Yeah. At one point, we literally went to the hotel in The Shining, and like a whole floor was like nothing but mimics. And what we did was I just channeled spirit guardians, which is like a circle of angels around you, and had the barbarian pick me up and carry me through all the rooms. Yeah.
Damn it. You broke my whole campaign.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't tell people what your campaign's about before you start playing it.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, though, he never thought that I was going to be in his campaign. It was supposed to be like a different group of people, and 3 of the players ended up falling out. I was like, dude, I need somebody to hop in here. I'm like, okay.
So the question is, should I continue my Hogwarts Legacy live streams, or should I go back to Final Fantasy IX again?
I mean, are you enjoying the Hogwarts Legacy?
I am, but I don't know if I'm invested enough to like play the whole game through to the end. I mean, honestly, it's been fun, but well, I don't know. Maybe I'll play it a couple more times.
Yeah, I don't know. I say get your enjoyment out of it and then go back to Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
because you'll probably definitely play 9 all the way through the end. I don't really think that's a worry.
Probably definitely.
Yeah. Probably definitely. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Unless something crazy comes up, but
I'll play Hogwarts at least until I get like Incendio or some sort of actual offensive spell. I haven't even gotten an offensive spell yet.
Only spell you need, if you think about it.
Yeah.
If there's a problem you can't solve with fire, you haven't used enough fire.
That's right. Or Bombarda. I'm not sure what Bombarda is exactly, but
I'm just thinking like, have you ever seen The Simpsons? And they got the coach. He's like, bombardment.
Yeah.
It's just the dodgeball spell. That's all it is. You fire it, and a dodgeball literally just comes out of your wand and hits the person. Bombardment.
Well, you were watching earlier. Apparently, you can use Accio on human beings.
I was so
now.
confused. I even like double checked. Like, I'm pretty sure you can only use that in inanimate objects. And I'm looking up like Accio in the books, and it's like, yeah, they've only ever used it on inanimate objects. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you like Accioing their robes, and it's just pulling them towards you? Or I mean, I guess that could be an option.
Yeah, you have to look at their.
That's in somebody else's possession. That's another question. You know, like.
You can, because in the very beginning, when you learn the spell, you have to Accio a book out of somebody's hands.
I guess at least in the game version, that's how that works. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess you're aiming for their ropes or something.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
It's like, I just remembered, like, you can't use this on animate objects. It's like the one thing the spell doesn't work on.
Well, that's the other thing, was that you don't, like, I think the spells are just different because you use this one called Levioso to cause someone to levitate. There's no Wingardium Leviosa. I don't know if that's a different spell or if it's just a longer version. I don't know.
I didn't know that you could, like, I guess maybe, because people do all kinds of stuff to each other. Like, there's definitely spells that work on people. It's like, I didn't know you could do a levitation spell on a person. That's why they have, like, brooms and shit like that.
In this game, you can. Yeah. But I did find that I kind of, and I don't know if this is going to be the case throughout the game, but I kind of broke the whole battle system, because at least when you're fighting other wizards, because I found that rather than trying to figure out, okay, what's the color of their shield, and if it's this color, try this spell. If it's that color, try that spell. Let's screw all that. Just use Stupefy, and it works every time.
Block counter Stupefy.
That's right.
But that's kind of what they do in the books too. Is they just stupefy everything.
Yeah. It works really well. Like, I was fighting 3 wizards, and I beat all 3 of them just by block counter Stupefy every time.
Yes.
Worked great.
It's like, screw your mechanics. I'm just going to do what they do in the book. There we go.
That's right.
Look, it works, of course. Anyway, we made it to the end of the show.
We sure did.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching, for showing up. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else. Don't care who it is. Tie them down, whatever. And if you really, really enjoy the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye-bye.